In today's episode, we will talk all about Ethereum, and specifically, I want to bring up the question, can Ethereum actually outperform Bitcoin from now until the next bull market cycle? So more recently, there's a lot of FUD coming to Ethereum because number one, Ethereum's price has been pretty consistently underperforming Bitcoin's price for the past year. And also just yesterday, the Ethereum Foundation actually sold a small bag of their Ethereum holdings, which is causing a bit of a panic in the markets. But I'm actually going to make the argument that now is pretty much the best time ever to be getting into Ethereum if you are actually bullish for the entire crypto space, for Bitcoin to have another crypto cycle in the after next Bitcoin halving and after the Bitcoin ETF, etc., coming in next year. So I'm going to look at a bunch of data, a bunch of price charts, as well as fundamental analysis on Ethereum's potential and how its position cannot be shaken anymore. So welcome. If you're new here to the channel, my name is Dennis, and this is the Virtual Bacon channel. I have been a crypto angel investor for the past 5 years, and I have invested in over 100 crypto startups. And on this channel, I share my views on overall market trends, trading analysis, price charts, and a lot of investing strategy that I use to build wealth in crypto. Okay, so let's get right into it. And before we get started, if you have any questions, please leave them down in the chat and in the comments, and we will do a bit of Q&A at the very end. Okay, so I want to bring you guys up to speed, first of all, to give you guys my stance on Ethereum. So I really think Ethereum is no longer just another altcoin. Rather, it has become a common goods asset just like Bitcoin. So if we look at market cap dominance of the entire crypto sector, Bitcoin currently is at around 47% dominance. Ethereum has been as high as 21% of the entire crypto market, but it has dropped to about 17%. However, in the last two cycles, Ethereum has really solidified itself as the number 2 largest crypto. That really cannot be overtaken. And we see this on the market caps as well. So you see Bitcoin's market cap is at $530 billion, while Ethereum's is already at $190 billion. So more often than not, when you look at these numbers, people are saying, oh, Bitcoin is the king of all coins and it cannot be, it's much, much larger than everything else. But really, how much bigger is it? Well, at the bull market peaks, Ethereum was as large as 40% of Bitcoin. So really, by market cap, Ethereum is up there just with Bitcoin already. And also, I want to bring you guys up to speed on Ethereum dominance. So you see how usually we look at this metric called Bitcoin dominance, which is the market cap of Bitcoin divided by the overall market cap of the crypto industry. And you see, yes, Bitcoin dominance has been rising in this bear market because it's signaling that money is flowing from altcoins back into Bitcoin, and essentially this is altcoins losing their market share against Bitcoin, altcoins underperforming Bitcoin. But is this happening on Ethereum as well? Well, let's take a look. So aside from BTC.D, Bitcoin dominance, we also have Ethereum dominance, ETH.D. And you see Ethereum dominance has held right around the same level for the past 2.5 years, since May 2021 at the bull market peak. It has had one of these significant drops. I believe this was the FTX crash or the Luna crash, one of those. But it quickly rebounded, actually. So from the very top, you see Ethereum dominance on the overall crypto market dropped about 12% from the top. So it was at 20% of the total market, and today it's at about 18%. Now, if you compare this with the altcoin market, so this chart is taking in 100% minus Ethereum dominance minus Bitcoin dominance. So this is all other altcoins market dominance. You see, this chart is what's really worrying. So all other altcoins have dropped together about 33% from the top in terms of market dominance. So clearly, most other altcoins are underperforming Ethereum, and a lot of the Bitcoin dominance gain is coming from other altcoins. Ethereum, not so much, because it is still holding up right around the bull market peak levels. And also, I want to point out that yes, we are seeing this little bit of a drop. At least, it's not making new highs on Ethereum dominance, but this pattern happens in every crypto cycle. The older altcoins get washed out, and altcoins, because they are, even including Ethereum, because they're a little bit more volatile and a little bit less known and more speculative, they tend to lose value a little bit faster than Bitcoin. So for Ethereum's sake, it's slightly smaller than Bitcoin, so it does go down slightly more than Bitcoin, which is why we're seeing this kind of short-term market dominance drop on Ethereum. However, I just want to point out overall, you see Ethereum's market resilience and dominance since the last bear market in 2019. So Ethereum was only at 7% market dominance before. And now in this bear market, well, it really hasn't had that kind of a correction at all. So you see last bull market to bear market, Ethereum dominance peaked at 22%, dropped all the way down to 7%. This time around, it peaked at 22%, only dropped to 18%. So really, the market dominance, the resilience of Ethereum is clearly showing. And I would rather, classify Ethereum as the number 2 spot, at least for all cryptos from now on. It's highly unlikely to be replaced in one of these kind of larger scale sell-offs against the overall market. Okay. And also, I want to bring up just this very short-term news that we saw. So the Ethereum Foundation yesterday sold a portion of their Ethereum holdings, which is kind of driving a little bit of a panic. So they sold a total of 1,700 Ether, which is worth $2.7 million. Now, this is really not a big sale. $2.7 million is nothing for the Ethereum Foundation. These guys are literally billionaires. The entire Ethereum market cap, remember, it's $189 billion. So 2.7 million on top of that is nothing. And just to give you guys a little bit more perspective, this is the historical times where Ethereum Foundation has sold some parts of their ETH holdings in the past 3 years. So you see two things here. Number one is that most of these sales were much larger than yesterday's sale. So they usually were 30,000, 100,000, 28,000 ETH, 20,000 ETH, 15,000. But yesterday's sale was only 1,700. So I don't know why they even needed this tiny amount. And on top of this, you see that they not only sell in the bear markets, but they tend to sell a little bit more aggressively on the way up, but also sometimes on the way down as well. So I wouldn't say, this is necessarily a signal saying this is market top, etc. Because, well, you see, they sold here and they continue running up, sold here, continue running up. So really, I think this is just more naturally that Ethereum Foundation needs to sell into cash in order to pay their employees, their researchers, to maintain their development. So I think this is just business as usual. Okay, now a little bit more FUD. So on the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart, so a lot of people have been recently calling out the Ethereum Bitcoin chart losing support. Here's Benjamin Cowen talking about it. Now, full disclosure, I really like Ben's videos, and he has been calling for this downward move before it even happened. So he was definitely right in a sense that, he was in this move very early. So he has been calling for this kind of rounding up top pattern since ETH BTC was at 0.067. And today, the ETH BTC ratio is back down to about 0.056. So definitely, right call when he made it in June. However, just today, right, when looking at the current chart, and he's calling for ETH BTC to drop to a much lower level towards 0.035, which is about another 50% drop against Bitcoin. I think this is quite unlikely. So I'll give you a couple of reasons. So first of all is the cyclical return of Ethereum price overall and Ethereum's performance versus Bitcoin according to the market cycles. So here we have, let me bring that up. Here we have the rainbow chart for Bitcoin. So you guys might have seen this before from the stock to flow model. This is essentially a chart that takes into account the Bitcoin halving. So if you look at the Bitcoin halving events, so you see every time the Bitcoin halving event happens, the color resets. So these color codes just represents how many months the current market is until the next Bitcoin halving happens. So you see, once the halving happens, this chart turns orange, and then turns yellow, turns green, and then as it gets into the bear market, it turns blue, it turns into dark blue, and then purple. And then it tips over back to orange again, signaling the next cycle starting. So typically on Bitcoin, how people like to use this stock to flow kind of color code is, well, to really try to accumulate around the blue and purple color codes of the cycle periods, right? So you see this was 2015 to early 2016, and then 2019 to late 2019, early 2020, and now we are right in it. So right around the late 2022 to beginning to late 2023. So this is where we're at. And you see, if you had accumulated Bitcoin when we were in these blue color codes, this would have been great, right? It would have been a fantastic buying opportunity. Now, on Ethereum, this also is true. So here is the Ethereum price chart, first of all. And you see, even accounting for the Bitcoin halving events, you see, if you had just accumulated Ethereum every time that it got into these blue color code ranges, so this was when Ethereum first launched, even this period made sense, but also this would have made you buy Ethereum right around $120 in the 2019 bear market before it had the major run up. And then same thing again, Ethereum is in that buying range again. So the time of the market is showing otherwise. It's showing that Ethereum is unlikely to be dropping much lower. And because we're comparing it to Bitcoin as well, Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart, let's look at that. So here is Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart on, let me just hide only the drawings. Here is Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart with the color codes on the candles. So you see, even for the Ethereum versus Bitcoin ratio, this still makes sense. So you see, in 2015, when the rainbow chart was in the blue to purple levels, especially when the chart first turned from blue to purple, it would have been a great buying opportunity, because if you had accumulated Ethereum right around these levels, what this gave you is eventually a 80x return of Ethereum on top of Bitcoin. So this was the first major rally of Ethereum versus Bitcoin, essentially. And then back in the 2019 bear market, so if you had accumulated Ethereum right around these periods when the cycle color codes flipped from blue to about purple, that also gave you 4.5x return of Ethereum on top of Bitcoin, which means Ethereum had a major rally against Bitcoin and it outperformed Bitcoin if you had bought during this range. And now we see we're back in this level again. So the color codes, according to the Bitcoin market cycles, according to the Bitcoin halving, is just about that time again. So chances are, I think according to the market cycles, if you are accumulating Ethereum right now, not only is its USD price likely to increase in the next cycle in the next couple of years, but Ethereum's price versus Bitcoin is also likely to increase from now until the next year or two. And that's just straight up from the charts from the previous 2 cycles. It has always played out this way. So this is why, all in all, I think now is not the time to be bearish on Ethereum. And yes, there's a lot of narratives to be made that Bitcoin is taking all the limelight, but I do think Ethereum is just slightly lagging behind the news and the price hype. But I think very soon the Ethereum adoption is just going to be catching on to Bitcoin and very quickly catching on to the outperformance of Bitcoin on the charts. Okay, so that's the price performance historically, and let me give you a couple fundamental catalysts also. So we've looked at the Bitcoin halving cycle analysis that also impacts Ethereum, that also is bullish on Ethereum. Now, 2 more fundamental catalysts, right? Number 1, that is great for Bitcoin is the Bitcoin Spot ETF. So since the Bitcoin Spot ETF has been filed and people are pretty much starting to price that in, that it's going to happen sometime next year, well, the Ethereum Spot ETF is also getting filed just last month. So ARK Invest and 21 Shares both filed their Bitcoin Ethereum Spot ETF, and Grayscale is also converting their Ethereum, I believe, futures ETF into a spot ETF. And this has the exact same effects as the Bitcoin ETF because it's in the US markets, it's highly regulated, and it will bring in the same kind of institutional adoption for Ethereum that just like for Bitcoin. So that's number 1. And number 2 is that, well, we're seeing a industry-wide crackdown on most other altcoins, but Bitcoin is heavily favored by the SEC, by the CFTC, by all the regulators and Wall Street now, because they're essentially claiming that Bitcoin is not a security, it's a commodity, it's a public good that anyone can buy, so you can fairly trade it and offer it. Well, Ethereum has been declared many times in all of its court filings and lawsuits that every time essentially when this asset was referenced in the courts, they have always called Ethereum as a commodity. And even today, when you go on any of the SEC websites and their research and all their offerings with their regulated partners like PayPal and Robinhood, etc., they are all able to offer Ethereum because Ethereum has essentially the same status as Bitcoin in the regulators' eyes. So this is the number 2 very important point. This classification of certain cryptos as commodities, which are basic goods, instead of securities, is super important for institutional adoption because it's a big difference and a big, much safer asset class to offer for their clients and for their balance sheet. Okay, so those are the 2 biggest points for, actually 3 biggest points coming to Bitcoin in the next couple years: Bitcoin halving, Bitcoin acceptance in the regulators' eyes, and Bitcoin Spot ETF. And guess what? All 3 also apply to Ethereum, as we have just outlined. Okay, now with that in mind, so can Ethereum actually outperform Bitcoin, and what are the numbers looking like? So I'll draw you guys to a little bit of background first. So I have made a full Bitcoin price prediction video. So my expectation for the Bitcoin cycle top in, let's say, late 2025 is about $200,000. So this is coming just from this diminishing cycle returns, looking at about 3x from the previous all-time high top at 66K. So that's at 200K per Bitcoin. Now, assuming this happens, right, then this will bring Bitcoin's market cap to about $4 trillion because there's about 20 million Bitcoin out there right now. So at a $4 trillion market cap for Bitcoin, the overall market cap for all cryptos will be something around $9-10 trillion. So usually, assuming the Bitcoin dominance comes back down to around 40% level during the bull market peaks, so the total market cap of all cryptos will likely be around 10 trillion. So taking 4 trillion of Bitcoin divided by 40%. Now, then we can look at the Ethereum market dominance. So assuming this sideways kind of action for Ethereum market dominance continues to hold, which means Ethereum takes up about 20% of the entire crypto market, that gives us this calculation down here. So $10 trillion of overall crypto market times 20% equals $2 trillion of market cap for Ethereum. Now, what does that translate to in price? Well, Ethereum today has 120 million total supply. So this is likely going to stay the same, if not a little bit lower, according to Ethereum tokenomics, which means we can divide 2 trillion by 120 million. That gives us 16,660 for Ethereum price. Now, this is essentially my fair estimate. I wouldn't say it's very conservative, but it's definitely not over optimistic. So this is actually, $16,000, right? So let's plot this on the chart. And if I can unhide, okay. So plotting this on the charts. Which one was it? Here. So at $16,000, right around there, that's about a 230% increase from the previous all-time high in 2021. Now, is this actually way too optimistic? Well, no, because if you just take the previous all-time high differences from the 2018 peak to the 2021 peak, you see this number matches pretty much exactly. So from 2018, Ethereum went from $1,400 peak to the 2021 peak at 4,700. Well, that's about the same difference between 4,700 to 16,000. So all in all, a 16,000 price target is pretty fair. Okay, now with this in mind, right, we're taking a fair estimate from the previous all-time high for Bitcoin going to 200K and for Ethereum going to 16K. How much of a difference is that in ratios? So if we look at Bitcoin chart right here. So assuming Bitcoin just reaches our kind of mid-range price estimate of 200K by the next cycle top, that's about a 630% increase from current price. Right? Okay, now let's go to Ethereum and taking the $16,000 level and then using that from current price, you see this is giving us about a 950% increase from current price. So dividing 900% by 600%, that's about 1.5x of an increase in Ethereum versus Bitcoin ratio. So this means if these estimates play out, Ethereum is likely to outperform Bitcoin by about 1.5x. Those are not exceptionally, amazing exponential returns like people are saying for other altcoins, but I think this is a much more fair estimate, and I think, quite frankly, Ethereum is much more likely to achieve these actual performances versus 99% of all other altcoins out there, because all the fundamentals for Bitcoin apply to Ethereum as well. And as long as the market cycle hype comes back, Ethereum is very likely to catch one of these waves again. Okay, so that's essentially Ethereum versus Bitcoin and how much it's likely to outperform. And very quickly, let's just translate this on the Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart again. And again, referring back to Benjamin Cowen's recent tweet. So here, is this move likely to happen for the very short term where Ethereum continues to drop against Bitcoin towards much lower? So let's see this on the chart. So Ethereum versus Bitcoin, yes, for the past year, it has been dropping, but it's coming down into a very significant support level that dates all the way back to the essentially beginning of the last bull market in 2019 at the very market lows here. So you see this diagonal trend line pretty much matches up exactly with this sideways, support range here that dates back to mid-summer 2022 and then beginning of 2021 when we had the first correction in the bull market. And also you see this sideways range dates back to even the 2017 bull market. So this level was significant. So all in all, Ethereum's versus Bitcoin chart is coming down into this level, but I think it's highly unlikely to drop below this level towards these lows. I think this is not going to happen. The support ranges within this range is very significant. And is it possible? Certainly it's possible, but I don't think it's likely. Let's put it that way. So that's why right now, if I were to bet on Ethereum's price, I would bet on actually for Ethereum versus Bitcoin ratio to come down into this range, but start bouncing and essentially signaling the next uptrend to start, taking into account this long-term diagonal trend line, this sideways, support range. We have the stock to flow rainbow indicator, which is coming into this, which is showing that this is the time period of the cycle for Ethereum to start going up again against Bitcoin. So this is kind of what I'm thinking. So yes, this is a question mark right now, but I don't think this is likely to break. Okay, so that's on the support side. Now, in terms of resistance, how much higher can this Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart get? Will we see another, major rally way up for Ethereum versus Bitcoin? Well, the answer is sadly no. So Ethereum is not going to make new all-time highs against Bitcoin in its ratio, because even if it gets to these previous all-time high levels right here, right, this will be 0.15 Ethereum versus Bitcoin. This would mean that Ethereum is essentially trading at $30,000 when Bitcoin is at $200,000. Now, if it gets to that level, Ethereum is essentially the same market cap as Bitcoin. I don't think this is likely to happen. I still think Ethereum will be number 2 and Bitcoin will be number 1. And, Ethereum should be worth about half of that of value of Bitcoin's at the most in terms of market cap. So I don't think, we can, I'm not personally expecting these previous all-time high levels on this chart. What I am expecting is for, first of all, this support level to hold. And then second of all, for Ethereum's versus Bitcoin's ratio to start recovering, albeit very slowly, but consistently for the next 2 years or so as the crypto cycle comes back. So you see, if we just take from right within this range to the cycle high that we had in 2021, this is right about a 50% increase in Ethereum versus Bitcoin ratio. What does this mean? This means that Ethereum is likely to outperform Bitcoin by about 1.5x. So this matches exactly to the outperformance analysis we had earlier, according to the market cap differences that we're expecting. So this is kind of the scenario I'm looking at. Now, obviously, this is very long term. Remember, this is weekly chart. And this sideways period was 2.5 years. So I'm looking at really Ethereum versus Bitcoin chart to only go up about 50% over the next 2 years, which is not a very significant move like, many Ethereum maxis are saying, Ethereum is going to be very explosive against Bitcoin. I don't think that's likely to happen. However, I think in terms of long-term value, Ethereum is, as it comes down into the support range, I think Ethereum's value versus Bitcoin right now is exceptional. It's really a good time to start buying Ethereum according to all the factors we talked about. Okay, so that's basically my verdict. I really believe Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin in the next bull market, especially given that the current time and the current ratio of Ethereum versus Bitcoin is very low and coming into a crucial support that it's likely to bounce from. And the time of the cycle, according to the rainbow chart, according to these color codes, is right about now is the time to stack Ethereum. However, don't expect exponential growth on Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Chances are we will only likely to see about a 1.5x return on top of Bitcoin for Ethereum. And lastly, keep in mind, this run will be very gradual and will only start after the institutional buyers have finished accumulating after the cycle comes back, which is likely to last for at least 2 years. Okay. Now, that's everything. And very quickly, I want to show you guys a short-term trade that I'm taking on a Ethereum scalp. So this is going all the way into the daily chart now. So this is a very short-term chart. And this is a current trade that I'm taking. So as Ethereum is coming down into this support range here, you see this sideways range is very clear. So I have been waiting to trade this sideways range, essentially shorting the range tops and longing the range bottoms. And because we're seeing this short-term FUD coming from the Ethereum Foundation selling news, and we have debunked all of that, I think this is a great opportunity to be entering a scalp opportunity, scalp long here. So I also wanted to bring up the MACD chart. So you see, first of all, price is revisiting this range low right around 1550. So you can bet on a long position by entering at 1550 with a stop loss just kind of a little bit below the previous low at 1530. And a take profit at the range high at 1730. And on top of that, we see that the price is making lower highs and then a lower low, but then a higher low already. And the MACD is making a higher low. So this is showing a bullish divergence on the MACD versus the Ethereum price. So these two analysis points combined is making me really interested in this short-term trade from 1500 as 1550 as an entry, targeting 1720. Now, if you want to follow my trades, make sure to use the link in the description to sign up to Fairdesk or any other crypto exchange that we have a partnership with. And on Fairdesk, actually, we have a copy trading campaign set up where you can copy my trades directly. And you see, here are my current orders. So I have not a big position, but a very stacked out position between 1540 to 1565. So you see, that's what it looks like on the chart right now. Essentially, scaling into this short-term long between 1540 and 1565. Appreciate you guys, and please make sure to tune in for the next live stream as well if you found this helpful, and share this video with a friend if you think any part was very exciting and very useful. And last but not least, make sure to follow me on Twitter, virtualbacon0x, and join our copy trading on Fairdesk. And you can find all the links with link in the description. And in order to best take advantage of that, join our Discord for the best crypto trading community, discord.gg/virtualbacon. And if you need any of the links, you can find all of them on virtualbacon.com. That's it. Thank you guys for joining. I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers. Bye-bye.